Garantita. How's it, donkeys? Welcome to the official African Flavours. Into a food processor with 500 grams of just cold water, 1 teaspoon each of cumin, smoked paprika, onion powder, 10 grams of salt. In with 2 eggs. Give this wet mix a quick pulse, and then here I've got 250 grams of gram flour, and I blend. Now I know this looks worryingly wet, and when I first tested this recipe I was like, oh my god, what have I done wrong? 250 grams of whole milk. Give it a little stir, and then we're just gonna let this sit here and rest just for 5 minutes, just so that gram flour can absorb some moisture and hydrate. And then it's gonna go into this tray, a 20 by 15 oven tray, and pour all your Garantita, I don't know how to pronounce it, man. I hope it's right. And then just before we put it in the oven, we're gonna sprinkle with a bit more freshly ground cumin and a small pinch of more salt. Set your oven to 180 degrees centigrade and then into the oven. Harissa. I'm gonna make a version of this dish that's not as fiery. So, into a hot dry pan with caraway seeds, fennel seeds. Some recipes I've seen got fennel seeds, some has got caraway seeds, so I'm gonna do both. 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, and here I have some freshly ground coriander seeds, but I'm just gonna toast it again. In a dry pan, toasty, 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 smell amazing, good, straight into your blender. Now, as you see, there's quite a bit of ingredients here for harissa. As you know, harissa is very, very high on the oh my god, it's hot level. So I want to make something that's more on the ooh, that's a bit spicy but delicious level. And that's why I'm adding ingredients to the recipe just to mellow the spice down a bit. So just into that exact same pan with 20 ml of oil, and then in with the garlic, 1 onion, 1 pepper, in with our coriander stalks, in with 6 bird's eye or peri peri chilies. The onions and the garlic is just starting to brown out. I'm going to go in with 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and I'm going to season quite liberally now with some salt. Now I'm going to go in with 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. The veg is just starting to catch at the bottom. I'm going to go on with just rough chopped fresh tomato. The moisture in the tomato will sort of deglaze the pan. In with the zest of 1 whole lemon. Get as much juice out of that 1 lemon. So I have now switched off the heat. Now I'm just gonna go in with all that lemon juice, stir it around, scrape the bottom, and then into a blender. The toasted spices is in there, still in there. Our veggies is just gonna join the spices along with our coriander leaves and another 30 grams of extra virgin olive oil. And then we're just going to blend this into a smooth paste. Actually, we don't want it into a smooth paste. We want a bit of texture to it. Now taste. North Africa. North Africa. Now get it into a little jar. If you don't have a jar, then I don't know, put it in your bathtub and bathe in it, swim in it. Okay, you might be on fire if you bath in a recipe. But it's so good. Let it cool down to room temperature. Put it in your fridge, and I'm sure this can last in there for a week, maybe 2. And now our Garantita. It should be sort of still jiggly on the top. We're gonna let this sit. It's gonna sink slightly, but then it's gonna set into this beautiful cake deliciousness. Now this is cooled down quite a bit, and I think it's safe to say we can try a bit. Do you know what it looks like and reminds me of? Milk tart from South Africa. Seriously, like the crustless melted. I first wanted to, it might not seem like it, but the top part of this is soft, almost custard-like, but as in flavor, just on its own, from what I just tasted, you know what it tastes like? A hummus quiche. Literally, it tastes like hummus quiche. But can I just say, this is just on its own. Every recipe that I've researched and seen online, they have eaten it with French baguette, which I found really funny. Don't do those two countries have beef? Let's make some French baguette. So yesterday I took 100 grams of strong white flour, 50 grams of wholemeal flour, 3.5 grams of instant dry yeast, gave it a little stir, and then I add 350 grams of cold water, like tap water, not ice cold water from the Arctic. And then stirred it all together, and then I let this ferment slowly overnight in my fridge. Fast forward to today I've got this nutty fermented goodness, as you can see. And now we're gonna go into our fermented polish. 3.5 grams of instant dry yeast again, 5 grams of sugar, 10 grams of salt, give that a little bit of stir, and 400 grams of strong white flour. And again, mixy wixy, just to bring everything together. And then as always, cover, set this out, and let it rest for 15 to 20 minutes. And dump your dough onto your work surface. We're gonna go to slap and fold, slap and fold, slap and fold, just a few times to develop some gluten and structure to the dough. And once it coming together like it is now, lovely, form into a nice dough. Fold, lightly flour your dough again, your bowl again, not your dough. And then when it's smooth, beautiful like that, back into the bowl, cover. And we're gonna bulk proof this for 1 hour. So our dough, look how wobbly it is, has now nice and doubled in size. So I'm gonna dunk it on a lightly, see how lightly this is floured? You don't want any more flour in this dough. Now we're gonna cut this into 2 even size balls. Yay, how you doing, lads? And then we're gonna press this out to sort of rectangular thing. Now we're just gonna roll this into a beautiful baguette. I'm gonna take a little towel like that. This is maize flour that I make my pap with. You can use polenta. Dust this with my pap, and then pinch. Then we're gonna carefully lift up our baguette and lay it, and then pinch again. Carefully get your second baguette. This stage we can just cover it like that. I like to tuck these ends in there just so no air gets to it. So, and now we're gonna leave these bad boys for about an hour to maybe an hour and a half, depending how quick it's gonna rise. This small tray of water in the bottom of your oven, our baguette has risen quite significantly. Now I'm just gonna gently transfer, use a serrated knife to score this carefully without deflating it. Very carefully slide these 2 baguettes onto the tray. Close and into that oven for half an hour. Look at these. This bread has now cooled right down to room temperature. And listen to that. If your baguette does not make that sound after it's cooled down, then you made kak. Oh my word. Look at that. I'm gonna go right down the middle of this. Ooh, chunky bits of our Garantita. Yeah, a little bit of salad, mint, coriander, basil, cucumber, little bit of tomato in it. I'm just gonna garnish that slightly, and we're just gonna nice and neatly crown our Garantita. Here goes. Why world? Africa is coming. Algeria has kicked this series off with a Musa bang of Flavor Deluxe. Man, I know I say this a lot, but this is one of the tastiest things I've made on this channel. I swear, and I'll tell you why. It's the balance of spices in this Garantita. Thank you, Algeria, my sharikis. And to every single African around the world, go outside and run barefoot and shout and scream and tell everyone how Chef Donkey rolls. I love you. Into our polish, our ferment with 300 grams, onto something that I'm so excited to make, because I've never made it and I've had it loads of times and it's amazing and it's and then on with the lid. I'm going to give this a quick blend to ground up the spices.